Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, if anything came from the pandemic that we can learn from, it's that not all of us were connected, and it taught us how important it was to be connected. We'll hear from two IT experts next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
So we work in a large office complex, Lincoln Center, so we take for granted the high-speed connectivity, the cybersecurity. But during the pandemic, we learned that there were areas of town that was not as connected as we are here in North Dallas. To talk about that today, two IT experts. Ken Lautzenheiser, he is with Hypercore, and then Jarrad Brandt with Filos Technologies. Thanks for coming on the show, guys.
You're so welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, well, let's talk broadly about what each of you do, because you're in different companies. Ken, let's start with you.
Sure. So Hypercore Networks is a telecom aggregator. And so what we do, much like a real estate agent, is our customers come to us and they're looking for connectivity, as you mentioned. So different types of connectivity, different kind of services, different areas, different states, different countries, in fact. And then we go and shop on their behalf. And we basically serve kind of like a Costco. We buy at wholesale rates, and we hopefully save them some money. We become the point of contact, and we take all of that headache and worry away from their IT or CTO's department. So, yep.
Jarrad, how about you?
Yeah, so we help IT leaders with vendor selection and market research. And so we've seen over the last few years that the IT world has gotten very noisy, very crowded. There's always new emerging technologies. And if you're an IT leader, especially for like a large organization, there's a lot of companies to keep up with. And so we quiet that down. We've got almost 400 direct relationships with great companies like Hypercore around the world, where if they've got a situation where they want to do some type of technology, there might be 40 or 50 different companies that do that. And that might take them months to do. We have some real-time software based upon their compliance requirements and the capabilities that they want, where we can take that 40 down to like 3 to 5. So we'll have an IT leader tell us, your team just did in minutes what would take my team months to do. And so we love it. We really enjoy it.
Let's talk about different industries that you guys work in. Ken, how about you?
Certainly. We actually, we work across all industries, right? Because the one great thing about our industry is that everyone needs what we have, right? Whether it's a phone line or a huge internet pipe between call centers or between customer locations. And so we do everything from a single POTS line to very, very large. In fact, our largest customer, I think, is a 3,000 national location pizza chain. And so we don't turn anybody away unless it's something we can't help them with. And then we refer them to somebody like Jarrad and his team or other vendors, if they can't do it, who can provide that service.
Jarrad, I know cybersecurity is the buzzword of the day. And in fact, President Biden just warned all business owners to fortify their defenses. What are your thoughts about how secure most businesses are?
Well, the larger ones are relatively okay. Some of the smaller ones, that's where the real vulnerability is, because they may be so small, they may not have like a chief security officer within their company. But even for larger companies, I mean, there's a lot of new emerging technologies out there. And obviously for a business to have an attack, that could be someone, just an employee could get an email, and they're getting very, very good at making those emails look like a normal email. And within seconds, there could be some major disruption that could cost a company millions of dollars, especially like a retail-based company where they've got lots of like B2C customers. I mean, if you have an app that shuts down for hours or you lose secure information, it can be a real headache. So I would say, as we're talking to IT leaders, cyber is absolutely on their mind a lot, and companies they're allocating more dollars to try to make sure that they can keep safe, especially with the war in Ukraine.
And Ken, I know a lot of people are working from home. That kind of complicates things in terms of you might have a secure system at work, but somebody's logging in from their home on laptop. Does that create some vulnerabilities that might not have happened before the pandemic?
It absolutely does. A lot of companies use what they call a VPN, virtual private network, which means only you can get from your location to your company's location. But we too offer firewalls and some other things that keep that stuff out. So to Jarrad's point, there are a lot of people who have very company-oriented looking emails. People respond to them and they ask them for codes, they ask them for birth dates, they ask them for all the stuff they ask for a consumer. And then once they get into your company information, they can get customers' credit cards, they can get their buying habits, they can get a lot of stuff that you really don't want out on the public web. How
does a CEO know when he needs to bring in somebody like you guys? Because many might be watching this saying, "Oh, I've got an IT guy, I've got a IT department." How do you know when you need to bring in outside help?
That's a really, really good question. So I had a conversation with a gentleman on Friday night at an event we hosted, who a Fortune 50 company, and he did not even know groups like us even exist. And so this IT consulting, vendor selection, vendor management is a relatively new thing, which is why our CEO was so passionate about doing this, because he knew a lot of IT leaders and even CEOs, they're overwhelmed. I mean, they think they've made the right choice, but one of the big challenges they have is a provider might say that they can do something, and then they get into the contract, and then all of a sudden they're not quite, there could have been miscommunication during the evaluation process, but like if they miss on a technology solution that isn't the fit they thought it was, it's very difficult to get out of those contracts, and it can just create an enormous amount of stress. So having a company, a consultant like us, can certainly help make them feel more confident that they're going to make the right decision, because we're very agnostic.
And you save a lot of time, because instead of interviewing 20 companies, you can say, this is the one that we work with and our reputation is on the line.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. Yeah, that's a great point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Give me an example of a client that you like to work with. Ken, why don't you start?
Sure. So first of all, I want to piggyback on what Jarrad said. So we're not here to replace anybody's IT department or person. We're here as a tool for them. We have about 350 fiber providers and multitude of other providers, and we're, like Jarrad said, we're agnostic. So we listen to the problem, we provide the solution, and we're really looking for. Any candidate's a great candidate, but the ones that come to us, as you mentioned, have issues, right? If they were perfect, they wouldn't be having a problem. But to Jarrad's point, sometimes I find out too late, and they were promised things they didn't get. They were promised, services that aren't happening. And so our job is to kind of come in and say, okay, here's the vendors we work with. We don't work with everybody for that very reason. All of our vendors are very highly reputable players in the market. You've heard of them. Some you haven't heard of, but they're up and coming due to the new technologies that Jarrad mentioned earlier. So, we don't turn anybody away unless they're just not a good fit for us. And then we tell them very quickly that we just don't do what you need, and we refer them to somebody else who does.
Jarrad, does it ever make sense to bring you in before there's a problem, just kind of a health checkup?
Yeah, it certainly can be. A lot of times when we're working with clients, or even someone that could be a prospective client, if we're there 6 months in advance, when it's kind of beginning to be on, okay, we're looking to replace cybersecurity, or we're looking to look at maybe doing cloud, something in the cloud. If we have more time, then we can really, because we really, I know Ken's the same way, because they have a great reputation for doing this at Hypercore. We would love a calm, very disciplined, thoughtful process. And we do sometimes come in and there's fires we have to put out. Look, we got to make the decision in 30 days. But we do our best in those situations. But with our clients, we really want to make sure that we're there. Because typically in IT, you've got a 3-year contract. So I'm making those calls 6-9 months in advance. And they know, like, the sooner we get into it, we want to make sure we don't get emotional or we don't feel rushed. Because we really care. We really want these IT leaders to make the best call for their company. Because it just, so much profitability is tied into technology. I mean, you can change your company overnight with a technology solution in the world that we live in today.
Outstanding. Okay, final thoughts. Ken.
It's an ever-changing world, as Jarrad mentioned, and I think that most of our clients and our joint clients, they're trying to make widgets, right? They're trying to sell gas, they're trying to make makeup, they're trying to do whatever they can, and they just don't have time to think ahead. And I think both of our strengths are the fact that we sit down with our customers, try to understand what their business is, where they want to go, what technologies are out there to make it easier or better for them, and just serve as an extra resource that they didn't have before to not only save them money but make their networks more efficient.
All right, Jarrad, we'll give you the last word.
I know for Ken and I, we're both very passionate about this. Companies are really concerned about IT. There's a lot of new technologies, and there's a lot of value we can give an IT leader and their team to just kind of help sort through the noisy, crazy, ever innovative environment we call technology. So if we can save a company a lot of money, save them a lot of time, Ken does it as well. We try to build a lot of trust. Philos means friend in Greek. So we just brand ourselves as your friend in technology. We really want to build long-term trusted relationships. Those have to be earned, and they have to trust that we're going to truly be agnostic, and we are, because we want to do right by our clients.
Outstanding. This has been a great segment. We're going to end with both of your websites. We'll start with hypercorenetworks.com for you, Ken, and then philostechnology.com.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank
guys
you.
have been great
Thanks for
guests.
having us.
It's been a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.